Good evening, everyone. I pulled into the parking lot and I was like, there's no parking. I'm like, what do we have controversial tonight that so many people are here? And then I forgot we have some young ladies here and a young man to receive an award. And I figured that probably brought a crowd with them. So for those of you, this is your first meeting, welcome. We're happy to have you. What a gorgeous day in our lovely city. And unfortunately, we're going to be here for at least for a few minutes this evening. But hopefully everybody got to enjoy a little bit of that. If I get everybody to rise to say the Pledge of Allegiance and stay standing for the invocation by Pastor Eric Testa from Rise Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please pray with me. Our great God and Father, we thank you for a beautiful day like today. We thank you so much for this great time of the year where the sun stays out just a little longer, because I know that we have needed it so badly. God, we thank you for our great city of Westfield. God, we thank you so much for the way that you have blessed it and the way that you have had your hand on Westfield. And we pray that that continues to be the case in a great way. God, we pray for all the members of our city council and all of our city's officials. God, I want to pray a special prayer that they experience your presence, your blessing, and your love in a very special way. I pray for the direction of our city. God, I consider Moses as he was leading the people, and God, his prayer was very simply that he simply only wanted to go as long as your presence would go ahead and alongside and behind. And that is our prayer for our city, God. We pray that we experience your presence and your blessing in a great way. It's in Jesus' name we pray.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. President Tam, would you like to run the meeting, please?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you as well to the pastor and our guests this evening as well. Marla, can we note the presence of a quorum?
Patrick Tam.
Here.
Kurt Waninger.
Here.
John Dart.
Here.
Joe Deppner. Noah
Here.
Harris. Oh. Aha.
Surprise.
Yes, surprise. Noah Heron.
Here.
Chad Huff.
Here.
Victor McCarty.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The next, we have the approval of claims. I'm assuming everyone had a chance to review those. Is there any questions this evening? Marla, I got a question. On the one issue, let me be clear. This happened quite some time ago, well before you probably ever even thought about becoming a clerk treasurer. So there was an MPERS issue on some retirement issues. Where is that contained in the claims docket?
It's under the clerk treasurer's department. It's
Okay.
$400.
So my question really is that, hey, to be clear to the public, this was 19 years ago?
2009, to be exact.
So a few years ago, you weren't even thinking about being clerk treasurer, so this didn't happen on your watch. But we had a recent issue with a firefighter that the deductions, I believe, were made correctly, but then the actual payment was never inserted into his account.
For whatever reason, INPERS, as they do, contacted us to let us know that there had been 3 months of missed payments and ask for an affirmation from the fire chief to make sure that he wasn't on active military duty or absent for any other reason. So after verifying that, he affirmed that. I verified with INPERS that in fact the payments hadn't been made. And quite frankly, I'm statutorily obligated to go ahead and make the payment after confirming that, so I did.
So my question is, let me be clear. The only reason why MPERS knew to make the phone call was that the firefighter actually was verifying his account. Would that be correct?
I don't know. They contacted me via email.
Okay. So the amount that was deposited, which you're compelled to act, which, again, did not happen under your watch. Right. It's your mess to clean up, unfortunately. So how do we calculate that many years loss of contributions for that gentleman's retirement?
So the way I understand it is INPERS is actually a collection of pooled assets, and they determine not only what we owed from the 2009.
So did they actually make that determination? Because it was my impression that it was just a dollar for dollar in terms of what should have been deposited over a decade plus ago.
We used, myself and a representative from InPERS used their system to go back and calculate it based off the base salary at that time. And I noticed that it was paid differently than it is today in that period of time.
So does the city have any additional liability or calculation? Because frankly, again, didn't happen under your watch. I don't believe this is going to be an isolated incident. Because you recently had to let somebody go that frankly was probably responsible for this exact situation as well. Am I correct or incorrect?
I don't know if it would have been her direct
Because isn't it true, though, that
responsibility.
IMPERS has no idea what we deduct off paychecks? They just receive contributions?
They receive contributions, yes, but they are calculated based off base salaries.
So do they know how much it should be contributed? Because this issue happened over how many years?
Yeah, since 2009, and they had the information about what the base salary was in '09. So again, we used their computer system.
But only because that Westfield employee called IMPERS.
I have no knowledge of whether.
Well, you do have knowledge, but we'll escape that. But I want to make sure that the record is stated that we have to do a comprehensive payroll audit because we have a lot of liability and a lot of exposure. But again, let me reassure everyone, this did not happen under your watch whatsoever.
The mayor and I have discussed it, and whatever we all deem necessary to do, I'm willing to do that. But again, I had no knowledge of the gentleman necessarily contacting.
You have the same emails that I had, but we don't have to talk about that. Okay. So the challenge is that we have a lot of exposure here. So I'm looking forward to the council, the mayor's office, and your office working pretty closely together. These situations, again, did not occur whatsoever underneath your term, not even remotely close. So, but unfortunately, we're all tasked to trying to do the right thing, which I believe you did, by trying to take immediate corrective action. But we have another claims docket that I think that has some potential situations here. Now, at the same time, nothing improper. People are trying to do the right thing, so I thank you for that. But I also want the people to know these issues did not occur whatsoever underneath your watch whatsoever. So, but I also wanted to thank you for at least taking immediate action, trying to make that correction. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And if I might just add, since we're talking about that, and it's now out there in the public, first off, Marla and I have discussed, we're going to go back probably since the time that Westfield became a city, which would be 2008, and we're going to do an audit, a very forensic audit. It will be somewhat random in nature. We're not going to go line by line through employee. But we're going to be looking for errors because we're both concerned that with some of the issues that we've seen here recently, that they may be deeper than what we know. I hope that's not the case, but I think it's in our best interest, in the best interest of our employees, to go back and look at that. If we find errors, then we're going to go line by line through every employee since 2008 to verify that they've been paid correctly. The other thing that we need to come to a conclusion on, and I appreciate Marla making that payment, that was the right step, but there's a lost opportunity of what that money could have done in their pension in the market over the last 16 years. I don't think the employee has been made completely right. I know if it was my money and you're taking 16 years of what we've seen in the stock market and you're now allowing that to draw interest, I'm not going to be real happy about that. So I'd like to have a broader conversation once we understand what we're dealing with. If there are any other, if this is the only incident, it's a real simple decision, but it may be more complex, so I don't want to waste time now chatting about it, but I want to just plant the seed that we probably need to think through how we're going to fix this for not only this situation, but potential other issues that could be discovered. So that's for a future conversation, but at least wanted to weigh in on that.
Moving forward, if somebody else comes forward like this, are you going to handle those individually or kind of look at it holistically and then make final restitution to everyone that needs restitution? Each one coming individually is going to take a lot of time.
It'll take a lot of time. But I think it's the right thing to do. Now, if we do, and there are statistical ways of doing this, right? So that doesn't mean a line by line through everybody, but let's say we do a 10% sample. That's what statisticians say we need to do for something like this, and we see no errors, I feel comfortable moving on. If we find, say, 3 or 4 or 5% errors, I think we owe it to every single employee. I don't care if we find one more. I just think it's the right thing to do because we're talking about pensions, we're talking about retirements, we're talking about the federal government, we're talking about Social Security potentially. We don't know what we're going to find, but these are issues we do not want to make mistakes in. So I just think none of this happened while anybody up on this stage was in office, but if we ignore it, now everybody on this stage is taking accountability and ownership of it. And I'm not comfortable doing that. I think the right thing to do is let's see where this goes and keep an open mind to it.
I would probably suggest doing a 20% random sampling statistical evaluation.
It was just a random number. I don't have a number in my head.
Kurt likes
The firm we hire will I think, hopefully bring a solution to us on, hey, this is what you need to do. So, and we've just started. Kelly Kemper in the administration office is just starting to vet potential players for this. We think we've zeroed in on somebody. Obviously, it's a collaboration with the clerk treasurer's office, and we'll have something more to share here soon.
Thanks.
We need a motion and a second on the claims this evening.
Make a motion to approve claims docket for 3/10/25.
Second.
We have a motion made by Counselor Herron, seconded by Counselor McCarty. Any further discussion? Maybe call the roll.
Kurt Wanninger,
Yes.
John Dart,
Gotta put his camera.
Yes.
You gotta put
Joe
your camera
Debner?
on, John.
Yes.
Noah Herron,
Yes.
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Victor McCarty,
Yes.
Patrick Tam.
Yes.
Yes.
John, I think you need, there you go. Okay. You say yes one more time? John, do you vote to approve the claims one more time while you're on camera now?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. We have the minutes from the previous meeting. I'm assuming everyone has had the opportunity to review the minutes. Is there any questions, or can we have a motion and a second?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from February 24th of 2025.
Second.
We have a motion made by Counselor Wanninger, seconded by Counselor McCarty. May we call the roll?
John Dart,
Yes.
Joe Debner,
Yes.
Noah Herron,
Yes.
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Victor McCarty.
Yes.
Patrick Tam.
Yes.
Kurt Wanninger.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Do we have any residents that wish to address the council this evening? Great, thank you. Next order of business is with regards to the contract to use Forvis as the outside auditor. Is the contract fully signed and so forth, or?
Sure, this is just the auditor that you all selected. We had the audit committee that came and gave a recommendation. The statute itself talks about the council terminating a contract and renewing a contract, so it kind of lends itself that the council would also approve the contract. So that has been provided, and it would just be a simple motion and vote on the contract itself.
Okay. With that, I need to have a motion and a second.
Make a motion to approve the contract with Forvis Marvis.
Second.
I have a motion made by Counselor Wanninger, seconded by Counselor McCarty. Seeing no other discussion, may we call the roll?
Joe Debner,
Yes.
Noah Herron,
Yes.
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Victor McCarty.
Yes.
Patrick Tam,
Yes.
Kurt Wanninger,
Yes.
John Dart.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, now we're on to the most important part of the meeting this evening, Mayor.
Thank you, appreciate it. I apologize in advance if you see me looking down at myself from time to time. Yes, I'm the mayor, but I'm also a dad, and my son is playing in his first lacrosse game of the season, and I'm missing it. I got in the first half. We were down. Carmel was beating us 4-0. Now it's 5-4 Westfield. So we're on a roll, but I'm just curious to see how my son ends up playing. But on the business, Kathy, congratulations. So I've had this group into my office. Gosh, this is going back a couple weeks now, because I just wanted to learn more about this amazing achievement that's happened here in Westfield. I won't go into the details of what this inspection was, but let's just keep it real simple for those people like me who don't need things at a high level. It's basically an inspection done for food service companies or restaurants like yours. To get 100%, it's what I'm hearing is like impossible. It's like getting a 1600 on the SAT. If you know somebody got a 1600, you're probably at the top 1% of society. Nobody gets that, and yet they get 100% here in Westfield. So with that, I don't want to get too much, but you want to come and just say a few words? You want to introduce Kathy, right? I don't want to get in trouble. I'll let you introduce Kathy.
Joking with Scott that normally when I come in to a town hall meeting, it's to cause trouble, good trouble. But tonight, I'll behave. My son started at Tropical Smoothie Cafe about 3 years ago, and Kathy is his manager now, and I have to say, she's been the best so far. The thing that I've noticed, he always comes home feeling empowered, he feels encouraged, he's uplifted. And as a mother, you really can't hope for anything more than that. And I know that it's not just Zach, but she does this with her whole team. I've stopped in for my own smoothies, and I've seen her build up her team. And as a mother, I'm super, super grateful. So with that being said, I'd like to hand the mic over to Kathy.
That was Zach's mom, for those of you that don't know. Okay. I wasn't expecting this. I know that you have awards for the girls, so can I just call them up and you want to do it that way?
Yeah. Before we do that, though, I think the thing that's really important that people need to understand, there's lots of reasons why we're celebrating this, but probably most important to me is this restaurant is ran by high school kids from Westfield, okay? Kathy is certainly the brains and the guider of this restaurant, but the day-to-day and the execution goes to these young men and women here in our front row. And I don't know, I hear this all the time, especially as being mayor. Wow, kids today, they're just so lazy. They don't know how to communicate. It's all facing the phone. I met with these young men and women. They're unbelievable. They're all going to be stars as they grow up to be young adults. I keep begging them to come back to Westfield when their education days are over. And some, I think, are here in Westfield, will probably stay in Westfield, but I just think we should celebrate that, especially when we have young kids in our community who are leading the way, and it happens all the time at the high school, but to see it out in the business world as well tells me that we're doing the right things in our community. We're raising great kids. And with that, I'll let you introduce them, and I'll hand a plaque. We have individual plaques for each person because I want everybody to have something to put on their wall, and then we have an award that you'll put in your restaurant. How's that sound?
Thank you. We got greeted, which one thing the mayor did say, my kids are amazing. And to show up tonight and see every single one of their parents here says a lot, speaks volumes. I know that hopefully they've matured and done better with me, hopefully. And I think as parents, I know my son's in the back. With parents, you're always hoping that wherever your kids work, they are inspired and they grow through that. So hopefully I did that with each one of them. But there's not another group of kids that deserve this or this recognition more than mine. I'm just really partial about every single one of them. And I hope you're right. I hope they go on to they're going to be great, but I hope they come back and be great in the Westfield area. But I am going to just call them one by one. Who do you? You got to do it for us. I don't want to do that. Zach LaFuse. We'll do it at the end. Yeah, we'll do it. Okay, second person. That's actually for me. Oh, congratulations! Right. Oh my gosh, thank you. Sarah Kinslow. Simone. Rodenbarger. Lily Monroe. Angelina Webb. Megan Stanley. And before I turn the mic back, I also want to make another just quick introduction. I have my team actually back there too. I have the GMs that work alongside with me. I have my district manager back there that all took the time to come out and support me. So thank you for that. I have my own biological son back there. I have a second biological son over there. So hopefully you all stick around and meet them. But
And then please take this and put this in your restaurant as well. Come on, let's get a picture real quick. Everybody up here. Now, did you guys prepare your dance that we were going to do for the council? Why are you laughing? Kathy didn't tell them about the dance?
we do have a dance, yeah.
We'd love for you to stay, but you don't have to stay for the whole meeting. Yeah.
Hey, Kathy, make sure you take your box, too, for your award. That way it doesn't break. You're welcome.
I got a little break. Baseball started like 2 months ago, but it's only 1 day a week right now. Basketball just ended, so I got about a month of 1 day a week, and then it's on again.
So resuming on the old business this evening, we have ordinance 2442, which is the Finley Creek Estates PUD. This evening, we have Mr. Rogers here this evening to make a brief presentation. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, President, members of the council. For the record, Weston Rogers with the Community Development Department. The item before you this evening is the Finley Creek Estates Planned Unit Development District. This is a rezone request to establish the zoning district for a new single-family residential community. The subject real estate is roughly 34 acres in size. It's generally located northeast of the intersection at Fremont Moore Road and West 193rd Street. This is just north of the recently approved Winterberg community and just west of the Atwater community. This item received a unanimous favorable recommendation last week, March 3rd, at the Advisory Plan Commission meeting. The petitioner is here this evening and plans to make just a brief presentation on the matter. Following that presentation and any discussion, this item is eligible for an adoption consideration by the council this evening. The petitioner and staff are also both available to answer any questions, should the council have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Rex.
Good evening. For the record, Rex Ramage, Pulte Homes, 11595 North Meridian Street. Here to discuss the Finley Creek Estates planned unit development. So as you saw on the agenda, this item was first before the council back in July of last year. We went through a very rigorous workshop, multiple workshop sessions through the Advisory Plan Commission. And then as Weston mentioned, we had a unanimous favorable recommendation last week and are here before you tonight. Just want to run through a few quick things just to make sure that we are, never mind. Just a few quick things just to make sure we're up to speed. So just a context map, again, west of Atwater, north of Winterberg on the north side of 191st Street. A hot topic these days is the comprehensive plan. Very excited for the city to unveil their new comprehensive plan, hopefully later this year. But as of the old comprehensive plan, this does fall, I would call it 85% within the residential, classification of the future land use map. So we shouldn't have any issue there. This is the updated concept plan. If you recall, the parcel up in the northwest corner, which had access out to Fremont Moore Road, was originally included in the proposal. There was a vehicular access out to Fremont Moore Road, and then it went through several iterations at the Plan Commission. And this is the plan that we ultimately landed on. A couple highlights here is it is a single cul-de-sac road. There is a stub street to the east that stubs into the existing Atwater development. And then, of course, there are 60 lots. We tried to do a very intentional design with this concept plan that you see here. So a lot is either going to be an average of over 200 feet deep, which is unique. You don't find too many of that in projects in Westfield currently or in the past. Or it's going to back up to water, so there's going to be a pretty significant buffer around all sides, something that you don't see here today. Again, the concept plan evolution, the original proposal had 86 lots, we're down to 60. A couple items that came out of the Plan Commission. The perimeter buffers, there's going to be a 40-foot landscape buffer in common area. Again, that was a big conversation to make sure that the existing tree line around the west, north, and east sides of the project could be preserved and not taken down by a future resident if it was on their lot. So we decided to put that in common area. You see the average depths of the certain types of lots there as well. We discussed a perimeter setback from the real estate. A couple of the neighbors, just for context, the gentleman here, which would be to the bottom, but he's actually to the west. We've spoken with him. But there's going to be significant setbacks from those homes and structures, so to minimize any impact that we would have on those folks. And then one of the other things that with a lot of these lots being almost 200 feet or over 200 feet deep, it provides a different style of living. As you might have seen, this is not a community that's going to have amenities, so it's not going to have a pool, it's not going to have any other types of amenities. And the reason is because these lots are very deep. And so what I did was I took a beautiful sunny day about 10 days ago, and I tried to find 200-foot deep lots in Westfield to try to give an idea of what this could look like. So went to different communities, but you can see the people that are going to buy these lots are going to install their own amenities on their own lot. So you're talking pools, you're talking outdoor patios, living spaces, outdoor kitchens, grilling areas, things of that nature, fire pits. So just a few slides here just to give the council an idea of what these people could potentially do. This is just a smattering of illustrative elevations, certainly not the comprehensive of all the homes that could be built, but try to give a flavor of all the design elements that could be on these homes. These homes are going to range anywhere from 2,800 to 3,300 square feet. And then we anticipate that the average is going to be between 500 and 650,000, probably on the conservative side. And then, of course, if people want to add basements or extensions or anything on their lot aftermarket, would certainly have an investment significantly higher than that. In the PUD, there are certain lots that have architectural enhancements on the rears to enhance the aesthetic from the adjacent properties. So just kind of an example of what that could potentially look like there. And then if you're so inclined, we would respectfully request approval tonight, and then we would move right into primary plat and construction plans this summer. And then if all goes well, we'd be looking to do construction activity later this year. Thank you.
Before you sit down, what is the average width of most of the lots in this addition?
70.
70 feet. And the average depth is?
There's two. So I didn't do the overall average, but if it backs up to a pond, it's 130 feet. If it does not back up to a pond, the average is 206. And 130 feet is the typical or traditional lot depth that you would see today in other communities.
Councilor McCarty.
Yeah, just real quick, jump into this since
Rex alluded to, it being a very long process at APC, about 8 months or so. And we held a pretty firm line of what we did or did not want to see here. So ultimately, even though I was against the project from the beginning, through the cooperation and working together, collaborations, I should say, we were able to nail this down and get that unanimous favorable recommendation last week, which again, I think speaks volumes to where we were, which was just about going to be a no regardless, to now we're sitting here with a unanimous favorable recommendation. So reason for that is everything that was alluded to with the changing of lot sizes, removing lots and bringing it down to 60. But the biggest hold for me was access to Fremont Moore Road. That is something that did not want to see, just because as we have out in that area, many country roads, and that's what Fremont Moore Road is, and we don't need more traffic out there currently. We'll see what construction and development looks like in the future, but again, as we go through the comp plan process, we'll get there when we get there. So, thank you.
Thanks.
I'll go next. So for me, watching the process go through for the last 6 months and to where we're at today, this still does not do it for me. The layout just doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't fit in with anything to the west, like those larger lots. I think it devalues the lots of the neighbors to the west. And I think we're just trying to fit a neighborhood in on the outskirts, urban sprawl, where we should, I think, personally wait and see what happens. I just don't think this is special enough to warrant passing it tonight. It doesn't bring any value to Fremont Moore Road, to those roads. It's not bringing infrastructure here. It's not doing anything for the neighbors around. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I know one thing we talk about is value around the neighborhoods and whatnot. I don't see any value at this at all. I think it's just trying to fit a square peg through a round hole. I think we wanted to get through, but it's just, it doesn't fit for me personally in this area. To the north too, the cul-de-sac, I know you had to do that for fire and whatnot, but to have a cul-de-sac at the end and no houses around it, and then who knows what's happening to the north there, who knows what's happening to the west. There's just a lot of questions to be answered still, I think personally, and I have a hard time trying to approve this tonight.
Any other questions, comments? Rex, can you forward through from the one plan, the comparison of the introduced plan and where we are currently? So the parcel, that's not included that you're kind of circling right now?
Yes.
Have you just let your option lapse on that, or?
Yes.
Okay.
2 different property owners, 2 different contracts. We would just.
To be fair, APC was adamant against that the whole time, so I mean, they did that for APC.
Yep.
And I'll just jump back in here since APC being mentioned. Everything that you mentioned, Councilor Herron, absolutely valid. And that's why we went back and forth on it so many times. So again, leave it up to my counterparts here to go either which way. I will just say though that as we are going further out west, and the way it's aligned now is that it just puts an end cap on the sprawl, if you will, of Atwater. Because when I was just sitting in the audience and that project first came through, I didn't agree with that project at the time, and I've said this previously. But it is what it is today. So we got to work with what we got, and I just see this as an end cap, and then being able to readjust something that we can really take as our own as we move further west. But again,
yeah,
to each of their
no,
own.
I agree. I just think there could be a better end cap. I think less density, bigger lots, something that smoothly transitions to the 5, 10, 20 acre lots directly to the west of it. That's how I would see it personally.
I'll just say I don't disagree with either of them in terms of what they're saying, but I do think that you're right. It is a little unique to Westfield to the extent that everything that's coming before us is small lot lines with lots of amenities. This is kind of the opposite. So I kind of like to see that. There's, different product for different people, and I think that kind of fits that demographic.
I don't think there's much that's going to shelf us in from expanding west, at least in my experience so far. I do appreciate it not coming out to Fremont Moore Road. And Rex and I met the other day, and had a discussion about the cul-de-sac, and the cul-de-sac makes me nervous, just to be completely transparent. As there's a developer that owns the ground north of it, and there's no reason that he couldn't sell it, and we just keep going north. And then there's also another, because of that parcel, there's another piece that goes back out to Fremont Moore. So we just, let's get this approved. Now that we get it approved, are we gonna fire that for round 2? That would make me nervous. I think that they've done a decent job of working through the APC process. The open cul-de-sac, there's nothing keeping that road from going north though, and that makes me a little nervous.
Are they going to be part of the HOA to the Atwater?
No, this would have its own HOA. Someone else had that similar question too. They're like, well, could these residents use the Atwater amenities? No, we're not.
They're not allowed to use any of their
that. We haven't had those conversations, and quite frankly, we wouldn't. We see the value in having a small community where people can do whatever they want instead of kind of being part of that larger traditional development. And then just real quickly, I know Chad, you and I kind of talked about this, but this is the parcel to the north that's heavily wooded. I think it's the parcel to the north of Atwater, which is owned by a developer. So you'd still have this parcel owner to contend. Sure, yeah. For all intents and purposes, developer, right? Fair enough, yes. The Wilfong family.
Any further conversation or questions this evening? Seeing none, we need to, this is up for potential final consideration this evening. We need a motion and a second.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 24-42 for Finley Creek Estates PUD.
Second.
A motion made by Councilor Waniger, seconded by Councilor McCarty. Any further conversation this evening? Seeing none, may we call the roll?
Noah Heron,
No.
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Victor McCarty,
Yes.
Patrick Tam,
Yes.
Kurt Waninger,
Yes.
John Dart,
Yes.
Joe Deppner.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you. Moving to our next order of business is ordinance 25-02, which is the Lantern Commons PUD amendment. We have Ms. Gillingham Teague with us this evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, members of the council. For the record, Lauren Gillingham Teague with the Community Development Department. The item before you tonight is the adoption consideration for an amendment to Area D of the Lantern Commons PUD ordinance. In this section of the PUD is generally located at the northeast corner of 31 and 161st Street, as shown there on my location map. This amendment would permit a 5-story hotel and an associated restaurant. This amendment proposes to modify the applicable sign standards, accessory building standards, and to waive the 32 overlay architectural standards that dictated the architectural requirements for the site. In lieu of those architectural requirements, the building will be developed in substantial compliance with the provided elevations, concept plan, and signage plan. Since this item was last before you, there have been some minor architectural changes and some minor text changes in terms of some of the signage. Sorry, I'm waiting for the elevation to come up. No, you're fine. I don't remember what page it's on. Trust me, it's an attractive building. We have not received any public comments related to this item. See, I told you so. Matt Skelton with Church, Hiddle, and Antrim is here to answer any questions, as am I. And I believe the applicant is also on, if there are any questions for him. Or the architect, sorry.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Skelton?
Good evening, members of the council. For the record, my name is Matt Skelton with Churchill and Antrim, with offices at 116 North Union Street here in town. As I think Lauren covered everything, and there's really not been any substantive changes since your last time, just some textual changes that the staff requested, and the architectural elevations have been refined just a bit to address some initial comments that we received. But if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to respond. I don't really have a presentation for you.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions, comments this evening? My question is, when does construction start?
They'd like to start this fall.
Thank you.
Matt, one question.
Yes.
The architecture and the colors of the building, does it kind of flow with the seat building that's currently there?
I'll take your word for it. I'm colorblind, so it looks similar.
That explains a lot, Matt. Thank you.
It looks similar to me, yes.
I did ask you a question earlier
Yes.
during the process about the developer and the timeline for the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Can you state that for everybody, sort of?
Yeah, if I don't get this right, will you remind me? You probably
Yeah.
read that article or that email more recently than I have, but I think the asphalt plants open in April 1st, and so it should be shortly after that that the Natalie Wheeler Trail gets reconstructed. They're going to be doing prep work between now and then.
Thank you.
And that's not the same developer, so that's the master developer.
That's what I meant, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. That has nothing to do with the hotel.
Any further conversation this evening? Seeing none, we need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve ordinance 25-02, Lantern Commons PUD amendment.
Second.
We have Councilor McCarty with the motion, Councilor Huff with the second. Seeing no other discussion, may we call the roll?
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Victor McCarty.
Yes.
Patrick Tam.
Yes.
Kurt Wanninger.
Yes.
John Dart. Counselor Dart.
You can't hear.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, he's
Joe
asleep.
Defner.
Yes.
Noah Heron.
Yes.
Motion carries
Yes.
7-0. Thank you. Thanks, John.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
I think there's a delay of some sort. New business this evening, Resolution 25-111, which is the Grand Junction EDA.
Good evening, councilors. Janelle Fairman, Director of Economic Development. And I think that probably the best place to start is to bring up the maps that we've already reviewed at the declaratory resolution with the RDC and have been approved. The ordinance was approved at the Plan Commission last week, and kind of talk through the changes that we're recommending for the Grand Junction District graphically here. And once I get through the graphics, I do have Barnes and Thornburg here to explain an additional change that we have within this Grand Junction EDA at this stage. As you all know, we've brought Grand Junction EDA to you a couple of times already within the last year or so. I do expect that we'll have additional changes moving forward because this is one of our largest economic development areas in the city. And as we do continued development in the area or additional annexations are approved, we have reason that we might be wanting to bring in additional parcels or create additional allocation areas within, or TIF areas within the economic development area in the future. So what we're doing here is two things from a graphical standpoint, properties being added to the economic development area. And this first map identifies additions to the Grand Park Economic Development Area, which overlap with the previously approved River District. So if you remember earlier this year, there was a River District approved in the Grand Park area, also another that was updated in the downtown area. And we identified a handful of businesses which are within the city limits that are also within the Riverfront District, but we're not within an economic development area yet. And the way the legislation is written, in the River District areas, businesses can apply for an alcohol permit under the River District licensing process as long as they are also within an EDA. So this gives an opportunity for current commercial properties or potential properties that could become commercial to apply for these alcohol permits, which is really important for economic development purposes. We are out of alcohol licenses in the Westfield region. As you all know, with our growth, we cannot keep up with the need until we get to our census numbers and hopefully have some new licenses added. So this is a way that we can provide them at a local level rather than them being controlled by the normal alcohol licensing permit process. So Kevin, if you'd move on to the next map, this just shows a very close-up view of the properties being added. I will articulate that in this map, there was a question that I actually brought up at Plan Commission, which was whether or not the parcel at the southeast corner of 186th Street and Grand Park Boulevard should be added to this map. And the answer is no, because it is already part of the Main Street allocation area. So it does not need to be modified for the purpose of this river district modification. If you could move on to the next map, please. And this shows just a few additional areas in the downtown riverfront district. And I want to highlight a couple of parcels here that are just north of 171st Street. At the RDC meeting, Councilor Dart, who's also an RDC commissioner, asked a question about those parcels that are in between the Midland Trace Trail and 171st Street. And we have decided that we will remove those from the final map when we go back for the confirmatory resolution at the RDC. It is very likely that those parcels will remain residential, not be commercial properties, so we'll make that modification at the public hearing and confirmatory resolution. If you could move on to our last map here. So this is one other change that's happening within the EDA. There is a new allocation area being created for the Ambrose project. This is a new project that was approved, PUD was approved earlier this year, and our next action item is going to be the introduction of the bond ordinance for this project. So this will be the allocation area for this project, allowing bonds to be issued specific to the project area. And I'd love to have Brad Bingham come up and explain our third modification that's being made to the Grand Junction area.
Good evening. Again, Brad Bingham, Barnes and Thornburg. Just want to talk about the one quirk here in terms of the expiration date. So there's a lot of different amendments rolled into this one declaratory resolution. We thought it was more efficient to do so rather than to do it piecemeal. When the Grand Junction EDA was created in July of 2009, the law at that time said that the life of the TIF area was 25 years from that date, period. There was no, that was just a hard start date, hard end date. The law was changed, I believe, in early 2010 to what it is today, which says that when the TIF area is created, an allocation area, it's a 25-year life that begins on the date the first obligation is incurred. So it's sort of this more flexible date. And I will say that the current law is the way it is because, you know, it takes time for things to develop when you create a new TIF area. It doesn't just happen overnight. So you don't want to just burn up part of the life of your area when there's really nothing being created. So what really we're trying to do now is to amend the expiration date of the Grand Junction allocation area to be what the law says it can be today, which is 25 years from the date the first obligation is incurred. It is kind of odd because normally when the General Assembly has changed those things, they are prospective. And in this case, it was actually retroactive. So the law was changed in 2010, but it just says any allocation area created after June 30, 2008 is what the law is today, which has 25-year life from the date it's created, or from the date first obligation is incurred. So kind of this weird area of law. It's kind of a quirk, but we're trying to fix that now. Could have been fixed, years ago, but we're just trying to clean that up at this time. Happy to answer any questions you may have about that.
Any questions this evening?
I didn't ask this last week because I knew it'd be a stupid question, but here I am. Because it's just been on my mind for the last week. For the overall Grand Junction EDA, because it spans such a large area, could it be up for just like a rename in the future, or is that even necessary? I mean, just because it's going into Grand Park, and we have so many Grands, we have so many Westfields, this and that. So I'm just trying to think logistically here.
The answer is yes. I mean, it's legally, you could do so if you wanted to. you know, there's always the things you think about, like what are these prior documents and things we refer to Grand Junction. So there, you could balance that. I mean, I think people would, you know, quickly catch on, but then the question is, what do you change it to? And, you know, that's debatable, I think, in terms of what people want to see.
Thank you.
I got a quick question, which doesn't matter, but just for my personal knowledge, go to the Ambrose map there, if you could, on the EDA. Why does it not encompass the whole parcel? Like the corner, that's
Oh.
not how the parcel is, but,
Yeah, it includes the entire parcel. That is all, that's right of way.
okay.
Down at the southwest corner, are you talking about?
Yeah, but, I mean, all around it, but that's right away?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's all I had.
Any other questions this evening? So this is a resolution this evening, so it's eligible for adoption this evening. So Resolution 25-111, Grand Junction EDA. We need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve Resolution 25-111.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor McCarty, seconded by Councilor Herron. Seeing no other discussion, may we call the roll?
Victor McCarty,
Yes.
Patrick Tam,
Yes.
Kurt Wanninger,
Yes.
John Dart.
Yes.
We need to see you.
Oh,
Sorry,
I think
hang on just a second. Oh,
the screen is maximized, so.
there we go. We can
There it
see
is.
you. Can you say yes again?
Yes.
Thank you, John. Joe Deppner?
Yes.
Noah Herron?
Yes.
And I will note for the record that Chad Huff had to leave, we'll say maybe 7:45. So, motion
fair.
carries then 6-0.
Thank you. Next, ordinance 25-12, which is the bond for the Ambrose project.
Thank you, Mr. President. Janelle Fairman, Director of Economic Development. This is a summary of the Ambrose project, which we just discussed briefly within the Grand Junction EDA. And it is also the subject of the bond ordinance, which, again, Brad Bingham will be here to present some more detail on. But wanted to go over the basics of our project and the economics of the opportunity here. Rebar Development has proposed Ambrose on Main, an estimated investment for this project of $26.2 million. This is at the northeast corner of East Street and State Road 32. It is an 87 multifamily unit apartment development with 2,000 square feet of rooftop amenity. This is a luxury apartment style that we have not enough of in Westfield and certainly not in our downtown area, so bringing a necessary product that will really help boost our downtown economic impact. It has about 13,000 square feet of commercial and real estate, or retail, primarily focused along State Road 32. They've also done quite a bit with the site improvements along the south and west side of the development to promote use of patio spaces, walkability, making sure that as downtown gets developed, that these businesses have connectivity and really great exposure for those people who are maybe enjoying a more leisurely experience in downtown rather than just the park to your location, go into your business, and then go back out to your car. There are 245 spaces on surface parking at the northeast corner of the site, and we are very excited that the developer has agreed in the future to allow the city to build a parking garage on this parcel when and if the demand is necessitated in our downtown area. It will have underground detention, which helps better use of our land in this very tight walkable environment that we're working on, and also does include an opportunity for 6,000 square feet of public plaza and patio space, shown as this green space down here at the corner. You can also see a fairly small picture of what that patio space looks like next to the green space here in the image. Incentives on this project, we are offering a developer-backed bond. This means the city is not backing the bond on this. This is all developer obligation. The city will be purchasing the right-of-way to build Penn Street, which is right here along the north end of the project. Again, we're purchasing the land, the city is building the street, but the developer is selling it to us at the average of 2 appraisals. And just a quick high level at the impact of this project economically, the existing assessed value for the project is $964,000, coming out at about $236,000 per acre. The future assessed value at about $13.1 million comes out to $3.2 million an acre, really maximizing our opportunity to collect property taxes in this region. The annual school referendum will collect almost $36,000 a year, and this happens immediately at the point that the project is built out. This is not something that we start collecting at the end of the TIF. This is from day one. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Brad, and then either one of us is available for questions.
Great, thank you.
Good evening again. As Janelle mentioned, this ordinance would authorize the issuance of economic development revenue bonds of the city. This is typical structure for these types of incentives for these projects. The bonds are secured solely by the financing agreements, which essentially would be the TIF revenue. It's a 100% pledge. It's not really the city's issue, but we'll probably structure this as a forgivable loan as the TIF rolls in, part of the loan is forgiven. That's for certain tax reasons of the developer. But happy to answer any questions you may have about that. Maximum par amount, $5 million, maximum interest rate, $8 million. And I think they're planning to monetize the TIF, meaning they're going to find a purchaser of the bonds, and they'll probably have to enter into a taxpayer agreement to back up, if TIF is ever insufficient. But again, there's no recourse to the city. This is really a developer obligation that we're assisting in financing. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions this evening? I have one, just quick one, and I'm full of surprises. How quick from when Shelby approached the city to where we are today? When did he first approach us on this project?
We approached him, I thought.
That's a good question. I don't know what happened before Shelby contacted me, but it was probably end of first quarter of 2024 when I started talking with Shelby, maybe a little earlier, nearly a year.
Okay. Thank you. This is just an introduction this evening, so there's no action this evening. It's an ordinance. So that concludes our normal course of business this evening. Do we have any city council comments? Councilor McCarty?
What we had on our agenda last Monday night, we had on our agenda tonight. So that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the council this evening? Seeing none, Mayor?
Yeah, not much. Just want to throw in here real quickly. We have State Road 32 business meeting on Monday, March 31st at 4 p.m. at the library. If you're a business and you will guaranteed be impacted by what's going on State Road 32, we'd love for you to show up and voice your concerns and just hear from the city how we plan on trying to manage traffic flow and other things like that. If you would, RSVP to communications@westfield.in.gov. We'd like to have a head count prior to that event. And that's it from my end.
Great. How's the lacrosse game?
Yeah, who won the lacrosse game?
We lost in overtime, double overtime, 6-5.
You looked a little sad over there.
I was pretty flustered, I'm not gonna lie. I hate Carmel. I mean, I love Carmel. I hate Carmel sports.
Mayor, you need to stop talking.
I'm just gonna stop.
Right. Okay. We need a motion to adjourn quickly, please.
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you.